Welcome to the Social Chameleon Show, where it's our goal to help you learn, grow, and transform the person you want to come. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to a truly uplifting and inspiring guest, Matthias Fiedler. He's on a mission to remind us that life is meant to be fun, an epic adventure filled with curiosity, joy, and wonder. Through his project, Messages from Life, Matthias shares daily reminders to help snap us out of life's routine and focus on what truly matters. And there's a twist. Matthias has a secret evil plan to write the most uplifting book in the world. That might sound impossible. However, it's precisely the big, bold dream he encourages in others. So whether you're on the verge of your own grand adventure or just need a reminder to lighten up and explore the road around you, you're in the right place. Let's dive in and hear more about his joyful mission. Matthias, welcome to the Social Chameleon Show. I look forward to having you on for such a long time. I love your newsletter, and I can't wait to dig into all the different topics we have here.
So glad to be here. Hey, Tyson. Thanks for having me.
So I was reading the Recomundo newsletter, and they had featured your I guess newsletter or whatever you want to call it, email thing, Messages from Life. And I was like, this sounds interesting. So I clicked on and checked it out, and I just loved it. I just instantly was hooked, and I was reading through it. I followed you on Instagram. I subscribed to the podcast and everything. I just love these quick little beautiful messages from your perspective as you're writing this is from life. And I just love that, from the universe, talking in that way. And I love it. And that's why I wanted to have you on. So my question to start this is, how did you land on that idea of speaking to us through the universe, or however you want to say that?
Well, because my life was perfect, everything was fine. And that's how
Of course.
Yeah. Did you ever have a plan that just didn't pan out?
Yeah,
Never
yesterday.
happened, right? Yeah, yesterday, exactly, right? We have these ideas in our head of how things should unfold, of how things should be. And, well, if you've been around on this planet for more than a day, you know it's just not going to work out. Right. Stuff is going to happen, right? And I was in a situation like that. I had a vision, a clear goal, and it was awesome. And one day I realized, this is not going to happen. And so everything I worked for and everything I looked forward to, was like gone. And I was like, what do I do? What do I do? I've wasted so many years. I don't have a perspective for the future. I'm an idiot. What did I do? Come on. You ever talk to yourself like that, right? Then you have these voices that judge you, and you think, you messed up life. I've wasted my life. And that's not a good place to be. And so I was like, okay, I got to do something. So I hit the alcohol. No. I thought to myself, okay, you got this. You've not wasted your life. You've learned stuff. You have a perspective. We're going to figure this out. And I talked to myself that way, like calming myself down. It kind of worked. But I kind of wish that someone would just appear and tell me, you're going to be okay. And I was like, if life itself, if the universe said, hey, buddy, you're doing a great job, it's going to work out. And I thought, well, I could write myself a letter from the universe saying, look, where you're right now, I know you're scared. You don't know how it's going to work out. But you're going to be fine. And there's so much lined up for you. You've not wasted your time. Everything up until this moment has led you to where you're going to be, to where you're going to go. Because when I told it to myself, I was like, I'm just lying to myself, right?
Right.
I felt if I had this letter, the universe talking to me, that would feel really good. And it did. I just calmed down. It felt soothing. And I thought, I cannot be the only person on this planet that had a plan go wrong, that could use some encouragement. And so I started sharing this with other people. And that's how Messages from Life was born. It's your little reminder from life that you're okay, that life is not as bad as your mind makes it out to be, that life is not this series of problems, that one thing after another, but it's a beautiful adventure to be enjoyed.
when this goal and whatnot didn't happen, what was that like? What was that self-talk like? Yeah, did you is it kind of happen all of a sudden, or did you kind of maybe for lack of a better term, you just kind of give up, or how did that work out?
Mild panic attack. Massive. I was like, Jesus Christ. In that moment, you can't think clearly. And you have all these voices in your head telling you, you messed up. You're on the wrong path. Why did you do that? How could you have been that stupid? Mm-hmm. And if you believe those voices, you're in for a bad time. Right. It's not fun, right? And one of the great things in life, probably one of the greatest that you will ever learn, is to realize there are lots of people in your head living rent-free. These voices that you hear, that's not you. And how does the voice in your head know where you're supposed to be or how it's going to turn out? The dude has no idea. I always say it's the same guy that keeps checking the fridge if something magically appeared. It's ridiculous. He doesn't know, right?
Yes.
It's this tiny little version of the world, and you apply it to all of life, and you're like, oh, I'm screwed. How do you know? You have no idea. It's like, but if you believe those voices, that's very real to you.
Yeah.
No matter how ridiculous it is. And that's one of the hardest things in life, because you're kind of imprisoned by your own thoughts. Mm-hmm. But you don't know that. It feels comfortable. It feels like home. It's right up there. It's the voices in your head. How could they lie to me? It must be true. I hear it all the time. And if you tell someone, yeah, it's in your head, or they're just going to smack you in the face.
Right.
They can't hear you. If someone told me, hey, look, calm down. It's not as bad as you think it is. It's just in your head. Like, you strangle the person, right?
Right.
But unfortunately, it is true. Or fortunately, it's true, actually. Because if everything that we thought was true, that'd be terrible. Because a lot of stuff we think is just complete nonsense. Mm-hmm. And it's a story. But if you don't know it's a story, then you think, well, this is how life is. This is who I am. And then you spend your whole life wrestling with that and fixing it, never knowing that it was just a story.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a huge unlock. I think you're onto something with that. I think we don't realize that these things in our head are just stories. They're just beliefs. And 99% of the time, they're from somebody else. Well-meaning mostly. Your parent or your grandparent or whoever was well-meaning and telling you these stories. They become your beliefs. And now you have this self-talk. And it's interesting. I've heard, through all the guests I've talked to and people I've talked to and things I've read, sometimes people's self-talk is, I can't believe what people tell themselves. But like you're saying, it's just chatter in your head.
Oh, yeah. But it's reality in your life if you believe it.
Right.
And that's the thing we talked earlier. Well-meaning people. You land on planet Earth. You have no idea what to do. You are not given an instruction manual. You have no idea. You just show up here one day and you have to figure it out. And then there are, as you said, well-meaning people trying to help you. Mm-hmm. And they tell you to the best of their knowledge what to do. Mm-hmm. And I think this is where the blind leading the blind comes from, because that's why we're sitting here, probably because the stuff we've been told is just not very accurate. Mm-hmm. And we don't know that. And I always think we grow up, but our mind doesn't. Let me give you an example. You still run around with the same childish ideas you had when you were a kid. Your mom told you, well, you have to greet people. People have to greet each other. If not, they're unfriendly. And now, God knows how many decades later, you walk across the street and your neighbor doesn't greet you. And you're like, what what an asshole. And you get upset. And why? Because you have an idea in your head of how that person should act. Now, how do you know how that person should act? You have no idea. You think you do because you were told when you were a kid. But you don't know what the guy's, how should he act the way he acts? Because that's how he's acting. You don't know what's going on. He could be busy. He could be thinking about something else. He could be lost in thought, something. God knows what. You have no idea.
Right.
You get upset. Or more accurately, you upset yourself. And why do you upset yourself? Because the voice in your head is telling you that person should act that way. You think that you believe that. But really, it's not your thought. The thought was given to you when you were a kid. And you carry it with you till today because we never examine it. Now, that is something as harmless as the neighbor not greeting you, but that's everything. The person cutting you off in traffic, a client, a boss, your spouse, the government, everything that upsets you, everything that your blood is just boiling and it's terrible and you're believing something that somewhere along the line you've been told, somewhere along your path on planet Earth, someone told you this is how it should be. And then it clashes with reality.
Right.
And reality usually wins out because it's the way it is. Whereas we run around all anxious and nervous and upset, and we think it's the situation, but it's because what you believe about the situation.
Right.
You carry it with you and you don't even know what you carry with you. We have no idea. All the stuff we carry with ourselves, we'd be surprised. And most of it, if you look at it, it's so ridiculous and childish. That's why I say your mind is still a child. Never grew up. We've grown older. We're out of our diapers. We're walking around. We've grown older, yeah. But we carry stuff with us. And especially about ourselves, all these ideas of, I'm not good enough. I'm not loved. I don't belong here. I'm not capable. And isn't it funny? I always think that's really funny. We live in completely different parts of the world. We speak different languages. And we carry the same stuff with us. Because I can't be the only one believing this, right? You've heard some of this.
100% rings true with me. And we're here in America and you're over in Austria. So yes, same things.
And how did that happen? Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
And everyone you meet in your life has some version of that. People you've never met, people, it could be in Africa, it could be in Asia, it could be all over the world, all different ages. And all of them have very similar thoughts. Which leads me to believe maybe these thoughts don't really belong to me. They're not mine. I've been carrying them with me. I've housed them rent-free in my head, right? And that's why I say it's a prison. It's very hard to escape because it feels very familiar, doesn't it?
Yes.
Because this voice has been talking to you for quite some time. And he probably sounds like you, right? Sounds very convincing.
Bit, yeah. Right,
yeah.
yes. Yes.
And you know what? My voice sounds like me. Sounds very sexy Austrian accent. Very charming guy living up there. Yeah. And it's not me and it's not you. Sounds very convincing. But we just established we all share the same thoughts. Very similar. Maybe they're not our own. And some of the stuff we know has been given to us. And we find it out later. We're like, that sounds awfully a lot like my mom. And that kind of stuff. The decades later, you discover it and you're like, weird. Yeah, just keep carrying on. Just keep on going with your life. And you have to examine it. You have to look at it. Because if you don't, you're in for a bad time. You're not enjoying your time here on planet Earth.
Yeah, that's I don't know how much of that I was susceptible to. When I was younger, I don't subscribe to a lot of these things. So I think it was a little easier for me. But when I really learned that concept of not, examining my thoughts and examining these beliefs and stuff, it's a big unlock, I believe. And like I said, I think I had a little bit easier time because I don't know, you want to say rebellious or whatever it was. I'm like, you don't make any sense, so I'm not listening to you, which caused problems for me. But I think when I did fully learn that concept, I was like, oh, here it is. I get it. Like, I'm examining my beliefs, but a lot of people, they won't examine the beliefs and they just say it and do it. And a lot of times it's just something you say, you don't even understand it. And I think the real, full unlock for me was when I had my son. And then now I've got to teach this person this. And it's like,
oh yeah,
why am I teaching this? Is there a point to this, or is it just because I'm repeating something somebody else told me? So I've had to examine that even further. And I also encourage my son, like, if you think I'm crazy, like, tell me. And if I can't explain it to you, then that's on me. Because either I don't understand it, that's why I can't explain it to you, or it's probably something stupid that I just believe that I'd never examined. And so that has been great, because then I think he's more evolved than I was, because has that as well, which does cause problem for him in school, because teachers and stuff don't like that when you examine things that they believe themselves. And the common thing you get, I'm not sure what you guys have to say over there, but it's just because I said so. And I always tell them, if somebody says because I said so, do not listen to them, because they have no idea why they're telling you what they're telling you. So I think it's a huge unlock. It's hard. Like you're saying, it's very hard. And it cuts at yourself. It maybe cuts a little bit of your ego. And you're like, this is a part of me. I've got to hold on to this. And you start thinking about it, you're like, this is actually probably dumb, or it's irrelevant, or it's old. Like a friend of mine, he's like, had this belief about something. I was like, your grandfather taught you that from the Depression. This doesn't exist anymore. But that's this belief that's carried on to our generation. And I probably could go on forever on that.
Yeah, it's like you said, thoughts about a world that doesn't exist any longer, or probably didn't even exist back then, because who knows if any of those thoughts back then were accurate. Mm-hmm. And I don't know your son, obviously, but I can tell you, yes, he's better. Because
I think so.
It's pretty much like iPhones. They come up with a better version every couple of years. And it's the same with humans. Mm-hmm. Every generation of humans is more evolved. And the easiest way to tell if they are is if the current generation complains about them. Because it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for them because they push the boundaries. They question beliefs. They question assumptions. They question society. And that's uncomfortable. But what is happening with the current generation? I think very much work-life balance and why am I working, or all of these things with the environment. And it's easy to judge that and say, well, they're lazy. Mm-hmm. Easy. Because then you're doing the same thing that hundreds of generations of humans have done. Everyone said that the new generation sucks and they're terrible and they're lazy. Complaining about the new generation is easy. Mm-hmm. If they make you uncomfortable, it's because they've evolved a step further and they've questioned stuff. They come with less of those assumptions. Mm-hmm. The longer you live on planet Earth, you don't question, you go all rigid. And I know my son is going to be way more evolved than I am. And that's great. And that's why it's as soon as kids land here on planet Earth, we want to teach them stuff. Mm-hmm. But not to be so eager to teach. And what can you learn from them?
Yes. And all of them. And what we said about those beliefs, it's really easy to see if you have a belief that's wrong. Because life is telling us the whole time. It's like you're upset, you're angry, you're annoyed, you're pissed off with the new generation, the economy, the government, you're fearful. Beautiful. That's a wake-up call that what you're thinking and believing might not be in harmony with life. Right.
And that's the key thing. Harmony with life. because we are in tune, like we adapt and we tune ourselves to our boss, to the government, to society, to our parents. We want to please them. We want to be good citizens. We want to fulfill all these roles. So we tune to the external world, to our society, the government, instead of tuning in with life, living in harmony with life.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the main, because I think it was Krishnamurti who said that, I'm butchering the quote, but doesn't matter. Being well adjusted to a sick society is not a good thing. Okay, obviously
Right.
I butchered that quote, but it's like we are tuning into society that, again, not criticizing society, we're doing the best we can. That's our current stage of how we've evolved so far. And that's good, right? But if you're just tuning into that and to your parents and to your boss, you're tuning into stuff that isn't right. Instead of listening to the guidance of our own bodies, we listen to others. Instead of listening to the guidance about our own life, who could know better about your own life, about your own desires, about your own beliefs than you? But we Google stuff. We ask people around us, what should we do? What's a good career path? What we look outside of ourselves for guidance because we don't trust ourselves. We've learned that who we are, you can't trust yourself. How do you know? You don't know enough. So we tune to others. We look for security in others. The boss, the government, that's where the security lies. Because that's how we've been taught. We've tuned to society, to the outside, right? Instead of looking for security within ourselves. We're so busy chasing all these things that we think will make us happy and we're successful. And our whole definition of success, again, that's a construct that someone else came up with, and we just purchased the whole thing and made it our own. And we spend our whole life chasing something that isn't even, we didn't come up with it. We didn't define it. We didn't even properly think about it most of the time. So everything, our success, our happiness, our guidance, we look to the outside world. And then we're like, I wonder why I feel lost. I'm unhappy. That's weird. Isn't that strange? And then again, you're unhappy, you feel lost. Well, let's Google something. Let's ask someone. Let's
get on social media and let's look who's got the newest thing.
Exactly. Yeah. We will do everything except look within ourselves. We trust our boss and our government much more than we've ever trusted life. The life that created us, that sustains us. You're not beating your heart. You're not renewing your cells. You don't make the sun shine. You do none of that. Not accusing you of laziness. That's the same as all of us. We are given so many things. We are sustained. Yet we don't trust. We look for assurance outside of ourselves. And then we get nervous. Because like me, I look for security and for my future outside of myself. I got the thing. It's worked out. I got the plan. It's a sure thing. And it crumbled. I saw it in front of my eyes crumbling and I panicked. Why? Because my security, my future, my prosperity was outside of myself. And then if someone moves it, then you get nervous. Right? You get really nervous. Or you get aggressive, which is the same thing. It's just a different kind of, you're fearful whenever you're angry. Why are we angry when people don't do what we want, or when it's a government policy we don't agree with? Or we get angry because we're fearful. Why are we fearful? Because we think our happiness, joy, wealth, prosperity depends on these things outside ourselves. Which is, again, it's a crazy thing to do. But that's how we grow up. We've learned to tune to the outside world instead of looking within ourselves. We've learned to tune into society instead of living in harmony with life. And these wake-up calls are beautiful because they remind you to go back to where the real source of it is.
This reminds me of a Stoic quote I love. I think it's from Epictetus, maybe Seneca, but it talks about once a month. You know, I'm not going to repeat the quote exactly, but the sentiment is, you know,
I butchered the quote as well. No worries.
yeah. But the sentiment is, you know, sleep on the floor, eat scant food. What are you scared of? Is this what you're scared of? Is this what you are fearful in life, that you're not going to have a bed or you're not going to have a home? Go do it and see, you know, it's not that bad. I can live on beans and rice. I could sleep out in a tent if I had to, or whatever it is, sleeping on the floor. Like if I didn't have a bed anymore, I could sleep on the floor. And that's the sentiment. It's like, what are you scared of? What are you running from? This thing you've made up in your head is just a story. I have to have this giant house. I have to have the greatest car. I must have this prestigious job. I have to have this degree or whatever it is. So what are you scared of? Examine that every month. And that's something I do with my kids. And I remember my daughter, she was like, this is stupid. I'll never be so poor. I only have to eat beans and rice. And then what happens shortly after that? COVID. And I'm like, we can't even get food if we wanted to. So I was like, this exercise wound up being pretty valuable, don't you think? So I encourage everybody, and I've talked about this on the show before. What are you scared of? Go do that. Go sleep on the floor. Eat beans and rice. Whatever it is you're scared of, go do the opposite. And I think more often than not, you're going to find out it isn't as bad as you thought it was.
I did that like a couple of days ago. I always wanted to start like a community because I thought it'd be such a great place, you know. I call it like a little sanctuary where you meditate, you have positivity, you find like-minded travelers before you go out into the world, right? I thought just a really loving place for people to grow. And my thought was, well, what if no one signs up? What if no one is interested? And I thought to myself, so what? Then I'll do it on my own.
Yeah.
And then I'll just have a space for myself to an excuse to set time aside to meditate, to do stuff, right? And if one person shows up, 2 people is a community. It's a start of something. Great.
Yeah.
And again, if I had believed the thought, I would have waited till I'm ready.
Which is never.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And that came to me. It's readiness is not having your things together. Readiness is trusting that as you walk, as you keep going, everything you need will come to you when you need it. Because you will never be ready. It's just never going to. How would you have all the stuff that you need? It's not. It's like a tree saying, I need all the nutrients for the next couple of years, 10 years. Once I've saved them up, then it's time to grow, right? It's ridiculous. It's not going to happen.
That's a great analogy.
I always do that. I give trees a human brain. Just think about it. It's, and then you see, I like doing that because we talked about beliefs and we've got lots of wacky beliefs in our head. We've noticed, right?
Yes.
And one of the best way to get rid of them is look at them and just realize how ridiculous they are. Laugh at them. And for me, it's, I give nature my brain. Okay. And then you have a tree, an entire forest later on. You have a tree thinking, I'm not good enough. But once I reach a certain height, then I'll be okay. And I'm like, what sense would that make? Well, it's ludicrous.
Yeah.
Or you have I can't do this. I can't do this. Okay, fine. Then an apple tree, worried about, I don't know how to make apples. How to grow apples. I've never done that before, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're an apple tree. You know how to grow apples, right?
You know how to do only one thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. And you can apply it to an entire forest. You'd have trees competing with each other, thinking, oh God, look at that. Gossiping. They'd form little clubs or nations, right? They'd they'd form government, they'd have war with each other, right?
Mhm.
They'd be anxious because other trees around them are more successful. So they're tree psychologists helping them out, tree therapy, right? It'd be ridiculous. You'd have a human society and a dysfunctional forest. You wouldn't want to walk into this forest.
Right.
Insane, right? Just the thought of it. And then you can see how out of harmony with life we are.
Mhm.
Give your brain to nature and see what it's ridiculous. Apply your thoughts and beliefs to anything in nature,
Mhm.
and you will realize how ridiculous it is. And nature is just in harmony with life naturally. We have a choice. We can do other stuff. And yeah, and that's how we wind up where we wind up.
The funny thing about that analogy, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but under the ground in a forest is mycelium. And if a tree needs something, the other trees will send it what it needs.
Yeah.
So the tree doesn't have to worry. Everybody in the forest has got your back. No questions asked. No barter. You don't need to send them money. You don't need to do anything. The trees just send you all the nutrients you need. You're sick, the other trees take care of you.
Isn't that beautiful?
It's so beautiful. I just absolutely love it. And same thing with animals, right? They don't, the deer's not walking around thinking, should I be eating this or should I be eating that? Or maybe I should sustain a little. They just go and they eat. And I think us humans, it's the same similar problem we have too. We're so concerned about, eat this and this and this. And so if we ate naturally, I think we would have less problems with those kind of things.
Oh yeah, I think this week I wrote a message from Life about that. I was like, we are so worried about food. We drive ourselves crazy about what to put in our body. And then again, you listen to the outside world. A nutritionist has this advice. No, they have a new study saying this. Read all of this and go crazy.
Yes.
And they contradict each other and it changes every couple of years. And you're like, you know what? I'm not going to eat anything, right? And trust your own body to help you choose. Food is not an enemy. It doesn't bite. You bite it. And again, that's an example of how we look outside of ourselves for guidance. Trust that your body knows. But we will run to everyone from your grandma to Google asking.
Yeah. And then and a lot of times maybe not necessarily I think about it, the way I think we think about it is we hear that message in our head, what we should be doing or what feels good to us, like you're saying, and we're ignoring it, looking for what the outside world is going to tell us instead.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, it is crazy. But I love having this conversation because I think this is how we grow and we learn and we bring these ideas into other people's heads. Because sometimes when I talk about stuff with people, they're like, "You're dumb." Like I'm always going to do whatever the experts say or trust the science or whatever the new mantra is here and there. And I love having this kind of conversation. What we can. I hope if you're angry at this conversation, like we said earlier, if you're frustrated, if you're yelling at your phone or you're yelling at your whatever, yelling in your car, these guys don't know what I'm talking about. I challenge you to examine that belief because something there is triggering that and making you feel, some kind of way. And I'd like you to examine that belief. Why do you believe that?
Yeah. And that's what emotions are. We are afraid of our emotions because we think that emotions are judgment on us, but they're guidance for us. We think feeling a certain emotion makes us not okay. Like, I shouldn't be angry. I shouldn't be jealous. I shouldn't be any of those things, right? And then we feel bad for having those emotions and we want to push them away. We want to ignore them because we've learned, again, from a young age, these emotions, good emotions, these emotions are inappropriate. You shouldn't feel them, right? But they're an invitation to you. I always say they're messengers from life. They come to you with a message.
Mhm.
They knock on the door and saying, hey, there's something I need to tell you. But we kind of pretend we're not at home. We I'm not gonna listen to you. And it shows up in the body. It
Mhm.
shows up all around us in our lives.
Mhm.
We will listen to everyone except our own emotions. But our emotions are our friends. They are messengers coming to help us.
Mhm.
And if we open our heart to our emotions, and they don't hurt, they don't come here to say, like, just feel them and then ask, hey, what are you trying to tell me?
Yeah.
You can only do that if you work with the emotion, if you're afraid of it, if you get caught up in it, like it overtakes you. If you are angry, you
Mhm.
can't hear the message
Right.
because you're fighting the anger. You shouldn't be angry, but I'm angry, and then you get caught up,
Mhm.
but you can't hear it.
A lot of times too, if you just label the emotion that you're feeling, it'll dissipate that emotion.
Yeah. And I love sports because sports is a beautiful metaphor for life.
Mhm.
Everything about sports, it's right there, right? The other benefits, great, but sport is a beautiful metaphor. And
Mhm.
again, I was nervous, which again, ridiculous. You're a hobby player, but what are you nervous for, right?
Uh-huh.
And if you fight it, you're just more nervous.
Mhm.
Because you're busy, you're fighting the opponent and your nervousness. You're playing against two people at the same
Defeating
time.
yourself. Yeah.
You're defeating yourself, right? And I was like, okay, I'm feeling nervous. And I'm just gonna allow myself to be nervous. I'm just gonna feel the nervousness. I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna allow it to be here. Right now, I'm nervous. That's fine. That's good. And then I played with my nervousness,
Mhm.
and I was okay. It was fun. I enjoyed myself because I
Right.
didn't have to play two people at the same time. I made friends with my emotions, and then I could actually enjoy the game.
Yeah, that's an interesting analogy. I use sports too to show my son these types of things. He gets in his head and he defeats himself sometimes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I keep telling him, I was like, buddy,
like we do in life.
right? I was like, I was like, I see you, you maybe you do something wrong or you didn't make the play or whatever it is, or the coach has something to say to you. And I watch you, I see you get in your head and I see your body language change. And I said, when we're practicing and we're playing, I see you do the same thing. And we're watching sports. I said, see this guy, see what happened there? He's in his head now. And I said, look at what happens. He's getting penalties. He got ejected from the game. I was like, look at how his play changed because he got upset or he's mad or whatever. He's in his feelings. He's so emotional. Look what happened. He's destroying his team. I said, watch what happens. I said, I want you to see this so you see what it looks like and see how it happens. It's amazing. It's funny when it happens to the opponent's team, you're like, yeah, look, this guy's in his head now. It's over. We got him. We win. Because once you get in somebody's head like that, it's hard for them to pull themselves back out.
Yeah, it is. And everything you said, you can apply. Of course, sports is part of life, of course, but it's this beautiful metaphor. How often are we in our heads? In what could happen, what should happen, what, oh God, if this happened, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And we're completely caught up there and we've lost touch with reality.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to come back. What I always do in sports and in life, I try to come back to my body, just the physical senses, just feeling my own body, feeling my hands, feeling my legs, the blood flowing through my body, the energy in my body. Because you can't be in two places at the same time. You can't you can choose, and that allows you to come back. Mm-hmm. Or a simple breath, just one breath, a conscious breath. And you're back with yourself. Because we talked about animals before, like a dog, he scents something, right? He smells something. Guy goes off. He's up in the forest rummaging for stuff. You're not going to find your dog again. You just, right. And the same thing, your thoughts, carry you to all kinds of weird places. And you have no control over it. You're on their leash.
Mm-hmm.
And they take you wherever they want to take you. And that allows you to come back.
That reminds me of something Seneca said. We suffer more in imagination than we do in reality.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so true. I see people, my wife's guilty of this, and I know she's working on it. She's like, before her shift starts, before she's getting ready for work, she goes, oh, this is going to happen today, and this is going to happen today. I was like, you don't know. You're making this up in your head before you even leave the house to go to work. Stop.
Yeah. And that's what we do in life.
Yes.
Why was I upset about the business not working out the way I wanted it to work out?
Mm-hmm.
I had an expectation of how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Why was I upset? Because I imagined a future that isn't there. There was a blank canvas, and I projected my fears and beliefs onto that canvas.
Mm-hmm.
And so you say, I'm afraid of the future. Am I? No, I'm afraid about my thoughts and beliefs about the future.
Mm-hmm.
Because the future is first of all, it's not here. I don't know what's going to happen. If I'm afraid of the future, I'm scaring myself.
Mm-hmm.
Future doesn't scare me. I do that. I do that part myself, right?
Yeah.
I'm scaring myself.
And that's the thing. They say you what is it? You like live it twice, like once in your imagination and then once in reality. It's like you're suffering twice for no reason. Like just do it one time.
Yeah, and it'd be fun, like stats in a video game at the end of your life. You see what actually happened, how much you thought was going to happen, and once we realized that most of the stuff we are suffering in our own imagination, all the monsters, the tragedies, all the drama is usually in our head. Mm-hmm. And I like to say that you think in the United States, probably the most popular sport is American football or basketball,
yes.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
But I feel the most popular sport in every country is having mental arguments in your head with people that are just not there. You're in the shower arguing and having a discussion. You're driving, you're having a full-blown conversation and back and forth, and they will say that, and when they say that, I will say that. And it's like, none of this is here. Mm-hmm. And people do it enthusiastically. I was a champion at that sport, unbeaten. And the funny thing is, if you win the argument in your head, you lose. You lose your peace of mind. You lose the present moment. You lose your joy. You can't win. Because even if you win an argument in your head, which is ridiculous enough, you lose everything else, the connection to yourself.
That's the point. I'd like to go back to something you were saying earlier about, letting the universe kind of give you these messages and receive these messages. I have a thought, and I kind of want to maybe run through with you. I think there's wavelengths and there's stuff that we just can't see, right? I mean, like, AM radio and all these different things. I think, or I wonder, are these thoughts and these ideas, are they out there on these wavelengths we can't see, we can't measure? And everybody, it just kind of bumps into our brains. And I get one, you get one, and everybody kind of gets one. The universe and Earth is kind of like telling us something. Do you kind of see where I'm tracking with that? I'm still working out the thoughts with that. But that's what I'm thinking. I feel like something's out there, and these things are coming to us. And we choose to either take them, examine them, or we choose to let them bounce out. What do you think about that?
I wrote a funny message like a couple of days ago where you think you're reading all these different books by different authors, but there's only one author moving all the pens. It looks like there are lots of singers out there, like you have Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran. All there's only one songwriter, only one singer singing through all people, and people just learn to tap into it. Mm-hmm. And you notice that you are receiving thoughts, yeah. And what you're receiving depends on what wavelength you're on. If you feel upset, if you feel down on yourself, you're beating up on yourself, you're going to receive thoughts that are thoughts about more ways to beat yourself up, more things that could go wrong, more things that are not going to work out, and more things that are just wrong with your life. So you've been inspired, probably not by the stuff that you wanted to be inspired by, right?
Right. That's interesting. I keep thinking about this. Like, where do these thoughts? I know. Shoot, what's his name? Stephen Pressfield. He talks about the muse.
Oh yeah.
And if you sit with your work and you sit with your thing, she'll come to you, and it'll give you the inspiration. It'll give you the thoughts. It'll give you the book. It'll give you the script. It'll give you the things that you're looking for. But you've got to sit there and allow the muse to come in. And like we talked about, you've got to listen to these thoughts and not get these thoughts and go, well, let me see what Jan says. Let me see what my mom says. You got to sit with that muse and kind of let that flow. And I feel like this is kind of maybe the same thing we're talking about there.
Yeah, I strongly believe that wisdom doesn't come from the outside. It doesn't. You can't find it in a book. Your mom can give you wisdom. It doesn't come with age, and youth doesn't prevent you from having it. Every person has equal access to wisdom. And if you read something in a book, if you hear something that resonates, it's because you already knew. That's why it resonated. You knew that stuff. Then if something that I write resonates, you know it because it's who you are. It's your nature. We've just been listening to all other people in society and all stuff outside of ourselves. We've listened to that guidance. So we've lost it in fog. We've blurred it out, and then we recognize it again. It's a recognition of something you already know.
Yeah, I should just saying a phrase I heard that reminds me of that is the good shit sticks. So when you hear that stuff, it sticks with you. You get it. You don't have to go back and highlight it and tag it up and put it on a post-it because the good shit just sticks.
There are stories, for instance, that I've heard decades ago. I've heard them once. They're still with me. And it's just powerful. And your life shifts. And sometimes I receive, sometimes I have to write messages, right? Sometimes I do receive messages. And I've posted the video on this today. One of the most powerful ones. I was tired. I was exhausted. And I thought to myself, I'm just going to lie down. Just going to rest for a few minutes. And as I lie down, I hear a voice saying, yes, you're exhausted, but not for the reason that you think you are. And the words came later, but I felt it. I felt that my body feels everything that I think. If I hate something, my body feels it. If I resist something, my body feels it. And if I'm down on myself, if I reject myself, my body feels it. And our body lets us know we're exhausted, we are sick. We don't listen. Then we go to the doctor and well, help me, please. But listen to your body. You're not gonna do it. You're not admit it. Like if you go to the drugstore, you're not gonna solve the problem. You are tired and exhausted because you're fighting with life. You're fighting a battle. You're complaining. You're criticizing. You're complaining about a politician. You're complaining about your boss. You're criticizing yourself. And your body feels all of that. And you cannot push and criticize against anything in the world without harming yourself in the process. And this is true.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it comes from me, you read it somewhere else, you discover it. You know it is true. You instinctively know this is true. Because that is wisdom that is accessible to all of us, that is natural to us, that we've learned to ignore.
Is there like a philosophy or something you pull from to kind of get on this wavelength? What do you do with that?
That is a good question. I've got all kinds of things that I really resonate with. First, there's the obvious one, nature.
Right.
You look around at nature or animals, you will see how life unfolds in its natural state.
Mhm.
And then you look at yourself and say, am I matching that? Or am I going against life? That is a beautiful reminder. That's why we enjoy being in nature, because
Yes.
it's our natural state. Big surprise, the society we've built ourselves and all the rules, that is not our natural state. That's why I enjoy being with animals. It's beautiful because a dog doesn't judge himself.
Mhm.
We do that and we've learned it, but you can see it's not a natural behavior that appears in nature.
Right.
We've done it all. And if you look at that, that is a beautiful teacher. That's why I really like Taoism and Buddhism, because they draw a lot from nature. Because obviously, it's a beautiful teacher. You just have to learn to listen. There's some other spiritual teachings that I really like Eckhart Tolle.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That helped me a lot as well. And recently I've listened to Byron Katie.
She's great.
Yeah. And the crazy thing about all teachings is it is so ridiculously simple.
Yeah.
When you listen to it and when you discover it yourself, you're like, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, how could it have been any other way? It's obvious.
Mhm.
And then you're like, what was my problem all those years? What was I doing? Right? And it's really, we are like in a state of hypnosis. We're completely unconscious, doing all these beliefs and thoughts we carry with ourselves that we haven't examined. And then
Right.
one day you wake up from that and you're like, what the heck was I thinking? Now I'm an investment banker. God, what was I thinking?
Right.
Yeah. That's why a lot of things we do in life, we think we're setting goals.
Mhm.
Or we want to have a certain career. Or this will make me happy. And once I get there, this is the dream. And we're not setting those goals. They're given to us. We think we write them down. It comes out of our own, but it's not ours. It's been given to us. And we think, but how does just like we talked about bad stuff happening, how does your mind know this is going to be a tragedy? How does it know like all these imagined sufferings? It's made up, right?
Right.
But it goes the other way as well. How do you know you're going to be so happy and fulfilled once you get there? How do you know?
Yeah, you just imagine it.
No, it's just your mind is telling you that story. You go there, you're going to be so happy. You're going to enjoy this, right?
Mhm.
And your mind doesn't know. And you believe that thought. And you can spend decades doing something that you really don't want to do. Choosing a career path that isn't for you.
Mhm.
Spending time impressing people or buying stuff that it's useless and pointless, but you don't know that. You're so caught up in those thoughts because
Right.
that is the reality. You do that thing, you're going to be happy. The beautiful house.
Yeah. And then the next thing, if I get the bigger house, I have the house now, but if I had the car, now I have the car, but if I had the Rolex, it's funny because if you talk to people that haven't experienced that, they're like, you're crazy. You only think that because you already have that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have that stuff. So when I get it, I'm not going to be like that. And it's like,
you still lose it, right?
I'm like, I thought that too, but I'm trying to help you out. Like, just learn from my mistakes. But sometimes it's like one of those things in life where sometimes you just got to learn that lesson or something. It's tough.
It's funny because you can talk to someone and explain this, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can hear the words, but they can't hear you. They can't hear what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
happened to me. How often then later you discover something. It's something my wife told me years ago. And now I realized, look, imagine that. And I said, yeah, I told you that years ago. And I was like, I couldn't hear it back then. I mean,
Right.
I heard the words, but I just couldn't hear it.
Right.
And that's what we talked about first, this prison, this illusion. You're telling someone you're imprisoned.
Mhm.
And it's like, you're ridiculous. You're being ridiculous. I feel comfortable. It's nice. You can't convince someone, right?
Mhm. Right.
You always have to be aware that the same thing applies to us. We are stuck in stuff that people point out to us,
Mhm.
right? And they point it out to us whenever we are angry and upset. It's very easy to tell.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Did I send this message today? I was like, the world is this beautiful giant classroom. And every day is field day. You go out there and your
Yeah,
teachers.
I think that was today's message. Yeah.
Yeah. And the teachers are the people that upset you, that annoy you, that you're just angry with them.
Mhm.
And in a real smart move, most people live under the roof and under the same roof as the teacher. You either married them or your family because those people really know how to push your buttons.
Oh, yes, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can spend your whole life thinking, why are they like this? And this is terrible and they should change. Or you say, thank you, because you're showing me what nonsense I still believe. You're showing me where I'm still not free, where I still have some growing to do. And then the person that most upsets you, you don't have to tell them, don't tell them, but you are a great teacher. You've outdone yourself today. You've upset me in a way I didn't believe possible. I thought I already resolved this, but you were a master teacher and you've taught me so much. Don't tell them, right? You don't have to tell them. No need to tell them, but just recognize that, because otherwise we spend our whole lives fighting stuff, our whole life fighting people and situations, and it's always out there. And have you noticed it never ends?
Mhm. It doesn't.
It just never ends. And
That's what I tell people. I was like, these people will be here for the rest of your life. You're going to run into these type of people forever.
Always, yeah.
Mhm.
And then life becomes the thing we talked about, one damn thing after another.
Mhm.
And does it ever end? And then you're kind of glad you're dead because it's finally over, because you're not having a good time on planet Earth.
Right.
You're not having a good time because you're fighting the world. You think you're fighting the world. You're fighting you're always running up against your own beliefs, your own assumptions, your own unquestioned thoughts. And you're going to be upset till you decide to look at them, till you decide that stuff that happens to you, because people always, I've been accused, I hope you too, of saying platitudes,
Mhm.
right? And of course it's a platitude. The Sermon on the Mount is a platitude. The teachings of the Buddha is a platitude. If you don't understand and live it, it's a complete platitude. And then you give someone the advice, or someone gave it to me, and I'm like, you brush it off. It's like, this is ridiculous. I've heard this before, right?
Mhm.
But it is true, because the world might be really complicated, but life remains simple. Because the world we build ourselves. We came up with everything around us, all these rules, and we divide people into races, and we have nations, and then you have to fill out this form, and this is the career path, and we invented all of this stuff. We say, well, the world is a complicated place. Yes, of course it is, but because we made it that complicated. Life remains simple, beautifully simple, right? And that's why it's so easy to dismiss a lot of these teachings, because we're looking for something more profound or something that life-changing information. No, you don't need any of that. You know what you need to know right now. You already know it. You know it.
You just got to tap into it. And like you're saying earlier, right? You got to listen to what's with your body.
Yeah, because if you keep on that fight against people and circumstances in the world, one day you're going to be like me, where your body says, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. And if you look outside, if you say, I didn't sleep enough, or I need to change my diet, right?
Right.
It might be, But the reason is not outside yourself. It's your relationship to life. And if we honestly ask ourselves, what is our relationship to life? And that's the platitude I talked before. Like, everything that happens is happening for you. If you read that, you just want to vomit, right? Like, oh, come on, this stupid Instagram quote.
Yeah.
But it is true. And you can spend your whole life arguing with people and this here upset me, or you're going to accept that everything that happens, every upset, every fear, is happening to show you where you need to go and where you need to grow. And you can fight it, or you can see it as an invitation to become free. You can complain about it, or you can say, thank you. Come take a look at what I'm thinking and believing. And you're going to fight windmills your entire life if you don't look inside.
Yeah. That reminds me of something. I was watching your recent webinar. We're doing this in December of 24. You had the New Year's resolutions and stuff. And so if you guys are watching this is already out. This should be out in January. So go check out his video. I'll link to it for you guys to watch this. But you said something there very interesting. I'd never heard before, and it really resonated with me. I want you to maybe talk about it here and expand a little bit on it. But resolutions are set for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you expand on that?
It's similar to the goals that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone runs around with these same beliefs and thoughts. Everyone thinks they're so unique, right? But we all carry this feeling of, I'm not good enough. There's something missing in my life. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. All these thoughts. And funnily enough, everyone is missing something, and everyone is in the wrong place, and everyone is not enough. Weird, but weirdly enough, on the entire planet, everyone is wrong, right? Everyone carries, and everyone thinks it's so unique to them, right? Mm-hmm. But these are the thoughts. Like, you were fed as a kid, you were given food, but you were also fed those beliefs. Mm-hmm. And again, no judgment. Everyone did the best they could. Once you see that, you can see the compassion. Like, everyone, your parents, you're going to screw up as a father as well.
Of course.
Yeah, and I'm going to screw up, but not because with the best intention and with love. We did the best we could. And we have to realize everyone in our lives, they also did the best they could. That's all they had. Mm-hmm. They gave you all they had and to the best of their ability. So there's no judgment there. Then you can look at other people and see them through those eyes of compassion. But fact is, you've been given that belief. I know I have. I've been given the belief that I'm not good enough. And I took it as my own. I carried it with me. And I believe the thought. What happens if you believe the thought? It is a reality to you. I am not good enough. Okay, so I'm not good enough. So I look outside and see, how do I fix myself? How do I become enough? Then you look outside and you see all these shiny things. Oh, look, money. Oh, that's going to do it. Look at that beautiful career, that title. Look at that car. Look at that house. Then you look outside of it. Then suddenly your mind tells you, look, this is what we need. If we get this, we're going to be good enough, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what a lot of New Year's resolutions are. That's what most of our lives are. We believe the thought, and then we look outside of ourselves and say, what can I add to my life? What can I do to be enough? The answer is nothing, of course, because it's just a thought. But you don't know that. And as long as you don't know that, you will keep choosing things that are not for you. And you will pursue them. And that's what New Year's resolutions are. You think you're making the New Year's resolutions. You're not. Your sense of inadequacy, your belief of I'm not good enough, that is setting the resolution for you. That is writing down the goal.
I love that. That's beautiful.
If you know it's beautiful, if you don't, it's terrifying.
Yeah. No, but this goes back to, I think, our beginning conversation. That's something that's not examined. So if you're not examining your thoughts, you're thinking, everybody tells me you have to do New Year's resolutions. And I don't know how it was for you guys in grade school and stuff there, but here, there's assignments you're forced to come up with New Year's resolutions. And
Oh, really?
yes, and I'm not saying I'm enlightened or whatever, but I always thought in school, like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I was like, you want me to write these things down now in the beginning of December, and then magically in a month you want me to start them? This makes no sense. And I would never do the assignment because it was stupid. Now I understand, though. Not that I don't have any of these thoughts like you're saying, because I'm sure there's somewhere in there, but it maybe just a little less for me, where I don't feel like I need to set New Year's resolutions. I mean, I do have goals, I have ambitions and things, I'm working towards, but I don't have some arbitrary thing where I feel like, if I don't do these, I'm not enough, or if I don't do this, I'm not worthy. If I don't have the car or the watch, I'm not worthy. I don't have those feelings. I mean, I'm sure there's something somewhere there, but it's nothing I can detect, personally. So that's interesting how you frame that, where you're taking these New Year's resolutions, and what they're really, from what it sounds like, what they really are is they're just a reframe for your inadequacies, and you're just listing them out in a goal form. But this is just what I believe about myself. I'm inadequate. I'm gonna tackle all these inadequacies in 25 of these in the next year.
Yeah, exactly. And we want to get to a stage where we're okay, where we'll be fixed.
Yeah.
But we're never gonna get there. We are never going to get to a place where we're okay, because we are okay. But as long as we keep believing the thought, something will always feel off. Something will always be missing. You will always feel weird about yourself, and you're not sure. And it seems real to you because you feel it. But similar to what you said before, a different quote I really like is, the unexamined life is not worth living.
Exactly.
And these are all unexamined. Maybe, yeah. But again, it all comes from the same source. It doesn't matter who says it.
Yeah.
It's the same. And it's so easy. Like, you look at these words, and everyone who hears those words, like the quote that I just said, everyone understands something completely different. Mm-hmm. You understand it at your own level. So everyone reading and hearing the quote understands something completely different. And for me, it's really, this is the thing that needs to be examined, right?
Right.
These thoughts and beliefs and assumptions, because if you don't examine them, they will run your life.
And that's absolutely beautiful. And I think if you guys want to hear more of this, you got your website, messagesfromlife.com, also the podcast. I'll link to these things for you guys. And then, like you were saying in the beginning episode, you have the Messages from Life Club starting in February of 25. So if you guys are hearing this, it should be starting soon when it comes out. And I'll link to those things for you. Any other places you want to send people to dig deeper into these things, get your emails and stuff?
Now, if you go to messagesfromlife.com and you sign up for the newsletter, well, first you agree that with 5 messages that introduce you to planet Earth, you just landed here. Look, this is how stuff works. Mm-hmm. And that's all you need. You need those messages. And what you read in those messages is what you already know. You know this stuff. It's just a reminder from yourself to you. Mm-hmm. About what you already know, and you've just forgotten it.
And like Bruce Lee said, I fear the man that practices one kick 10,000 times. We've got to go all these things. I encourage everybody to reread books, because you're never the same person you read it the first time. No man steps in the same river twice, right? So we got to keep, and that's what I love about your messages. Yes, they are whatever, cliches, platitudes, things we already know, but it's great to be reminded of them. It's just a little quick, a paragraph maybe or so, and it's just a beautiful little message that's a great reminder to practice these 10,000 times until it sticks.
Yeah, and I still like the format because it's squeezed directly from source. So I love this mind, because you're reading a book, then you might have critical. You feel like life is talking to you, mm-hmm. And just like for me, it helped me so much. Where it was like, it was reassurance. And you feel like you have I call it the invisible almighty pen pal that keeps writing you and encouraging you. And it helps you internalize it more, because it comes from a different source, so to say. If you play along, it helps you.
Yes, it does. It's like when somebody tells you something and you don't listen to them, and then somebody else tells you the exact same thing, and suddenly you take their advice. Kind of a similar concept, right?
Yeah. Make sure it's not your wife, otherwise.
Right.
Yes. Otherwise, you're in trouble.
And then you do share these on Twitter, Instagram. You've got the YouTube. You got some extra videos along with the podcast, TikTok, and whatnot. I'll link to all those things for you guys. And then also, you guys can subscribe to the podcast as well. And then on the Social Community Show, what I like to do is I like to have a weekly challenge. And what I'd like to do is I'd like you to issue this week's challenge to the listeners. It can be about anything we talked about or we didn't talk about.
Oh, awesome. I love challenges, like fun games. I did the classic is the no complaint challenge. I love that one. But I think because it's New Year, along with the topic we talked about, that we question our thoughts. That once we have this feeling of, oh, this needs to get done, I'm not happy where I am, I need this, that we take a break. We pause, we do a conscious breath, and we question our thoughts, because we're always running somewhere. And it's like the dog, we on the leash, like the dog is dragging us somewhere. Our thoughts are dragging us somewhere. And if we don't question them, we wind up God knows where. And that's why we go into the new year. It's just unconscious. So whenever you have the desire to go somewhere, do something urgently, whenever you have that feeling of unease, something is missing, stop, take a breath, and question what you're thinking.
That's beautiful. I also find that helps me if I'm feeling that, and sometimes I'll grab my phone, and if I do that, and I tell myself, why do I have my phone? And I just put my phone, and I have no idea, and I just put my phone down.
Yeah.
So I think that can work for that too.
Isn't it crazy? We laugh about Pavlov's dog and stuff like this, and we're picking our phones up like crazy. I have the same habit when I'm like, what am I actually looking for? What am I doing here?
Yeah.
It's just it's absolutely nuts. And then we think we're like so in control of ourselves. Oh no! Again, this is something. It goes back to the same thing. I think this running from something, from wanting to go somewhere, not being okay with where you are. And so the phone is a quick fix.
Right.
Again, that's great for the challenge as well. You feel uneasy. What do? You grab your phone.
Right.
Take a breath instead. I will do my own challenge. This sounds good because I just came up with it. This is brilliant. I like it.
Perfect. I'm glad we can inspire each other.
Thanks.
That's perfect. Well, it's been a great, wonderful conversation. Like I said, I'm a consumer of Messages from Life. I loved it. That's why I reached out. I hope you continue to do it. I look forward to them every day. You guys, check these out and continue the conversation with you on your platform. Thank you so much for coming in here and sharing the wisdom from the universe.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks a lot.
And the universe has spoken, folks. Matthias was a wonderful guest. I hope you guys learned a ton. I have a ton of notes. It's great. I love his emails. They're great. Is also available on Instagram and whatnot. However you want to check those out. They're great little tidbits. They're fun. They're quips. They're great. Uplifting. Get you out of the different mindsets and into better mindsets. I love it. Anyways, you guys are aware, there's no paywall. There's no premium content to subscribe to. There's no Social Chameleon Plus or bundle. We give you everything up front and only ask if you got value from this episode, share it with at least 2 other people. Listen, the universe told you to go get this done. So let's get it done, guys. Let's share this. Let's spread this message. We need more of this in our life. We need more joy. We need more uplifting and positive messages. Let's not get stuck in these doom loops and this doom scrolling and all these different things. And If you'd like to see some different content out there, you can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or your favorite podcast player. For past episodes and links to everything we've discussed here today, head over to the socialchameleon.show. And until next time, keep learning, growing, and transforming into the person you want to become.